You know that feeling. Someone sits heavy in your chest. Years pass. They're still there. Maybe it's that friend who disappeared without explanation, the mentor who shaped you, then moved on, or that stranger, one conversation. But they changed something inside you forever. There's always that one person. Why do they stick around in your emotional world? Ancient Daoist philosophy has answers. Real answers that go deeper than "you just care too much." I'm about to share 7 truths from thousand-year-old wisdom. Pay attention to number 7. It'll flip everything you think you know about these persistent connections. Here's what most people get wrong. They think feeling someone constantly means love or deep care. But Daoism teaches something different. True care flows like water down a hill, smooth, natural. But when someone occupies your mind obsessively, that's stagnation. That's energy stuck in the wrong place. Lao Tzu knew this. He talked about holding on to things beyond their season. You're not feeling them because they belong in your present. You're feeling them because you haven't let their energy move through you properly. Sarah learned this the hard way. Her ex-boyfriend from college haunted her thoughts for 3 years after they broke up. Not because she wanted him back. She was happily married by then. But every time his name came up, her chest tightened. Her breathing got shallow. That's not love. That's blockage. Notice your body right now. Think of that person who won't leave your heart. Where do you feel tension? Chest? Stomach? Throat? That physical response tells the story. When energy flows naturally, thinking of someone feels neutral, maybe warm, but not heavy, not stuck. Ancient sages had a metaphor for this. They said emotional holding is like standing in a river trying to stop it from flowing. You just create pressure. The water doesn't stop. It builds up around you until something gives. Every relationship leaves traces. Energy signatures, Daoists call them. Sometimes these signatures are balanced. You gave, they gave, everyone's square. But sometimes there's debt. Not money debt, energy debt. Maybe they poured wisdom into you during a difficult time. You never properly thanked them. Or perhaps you took emotional support without giving anything back. These unfinished exchanges create invisible tethers. Marcus experienced this with his high school teacher, Mr. Rodriguez. 20 years later, Marcus would randomly think about him, wonder how he was doing, feel guilty about something he couldn't name. Then it hit him. Mr. Rodriguez had stayed late countless times, helping Marcus through calculus, believing in him when nobody else did. Marcus never said thank you, not really. The universe seeks balance in everything, including the unseen energies between people. When someone keeps returning to your emotional space, ask yourself, what was left unspoken? What energy remains unsettled? What part of this exchange never found completion? The feeling isn't the problem. It's a GPS signal, guiding you toward energetic balance. This one's deep. Ready? Often, the people who stick in our hearts represent parts of ourselves we've ignored, suppressed, denied. If their calmness won't leave your mind, you might be seeing peace you won't give yourself. If their boldness echoes in your emotions, you could be repressing your own courage. Think about it. What quality in this person moves you most? Their confidence? Their kindness? Their ability to speak truth? That quality? It's already inside you, waiting. Lao Tzu taught that others reflect what we carry unseen. The external world mirrors the internal world, always. Jennifer couldn't stop thinking about her former boss, Elena. Elena had this way of commanding respect without raising her voice. She set boundaries effortlessly. People listened when she spoke. For months, Elena lived rent-free in Jennifer's head. until Jennifer realized what she was really seeing, her own unexpressed leadership abilities, the authority she'd been too scared to claim. When you embrace these hidden parts of yourself, the emotional hold others have begins to soften naturally. Western culture is obsessed with closure. We want the conversation, the apology, the explanation, the perfect ending. But Daoism teaches something radical. Suffering comes from trying to control outcomes instead of flowing with nature's rhythm. When someone dominates your emotional space, examine this. Are you clinging to a specific resolution, waiting for them to call, hoping they'll realize what they lost, imagining the perfect reunion scene? This fixation creates a mental loop. Your emotions keep cycling back to the same destination, that imaginary resolution. The Daoist principle of Wu-Wei suggests a different approach. Bend like bamboo instead of breaking under pressure. Be soft, flexible. Tom spent 2 years crafting the perfect text to send his estranged brother. He wrote it, rewrote it, never sent it. The unsent message became heavier than their actual conflict. One day he deleted the draft, stopped trying to control how their reconciliation might look. 3 weeks later, his brother called. Sometimes the thing you're trying to force is exactly what prevents it from happening. Here's a mistake almost everyone makes. You start thinking you are the feeling instead of just experiencing it. There's a difference, a big one. You are not your emotions. You're the sky. Emotions are weather passing through. But when someone takes root in your heart, you forget this distinction. You become the storm instead of witnessing it. Every time you feel them, it seems permanent, real, unavoidable. Like this is just who you are now. Someone who carries this person everywhere. This fusion creates a feedback loop. The more you identify with the emotion, the more frequently it returns, the heavier it gets. Daoist meditation teaches something powerful here. Create space between you and your feelings. Observe them without drowning in them. Next time you feel them rising, try this. Instead of, "I miss them," or "I can't stop thinking about them," say, "There's a feeling of missing arising," or "Thoughts about this person are appearing." Subtle shift, massive difference. You're not the wind moving through trees. You're the tree, watching wind pass by. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing. But when someone occupies your heart, you fall into this weird trap. You assume the connection is permanent. The feelings will never fade. The intensity will never change. They'll always mean this much to you. This belief actually strengthens their hold on your spirit. Daoist practice involves honoring impermanence in everything, including your emotional attachments. No feeling, no matter how intense, stays unchanged forever. The joy of reunion changes. The sorrow of loss evolves. The comfort of memory shifts. Everything follows the way of nature. Constant movement, constant change. Lisa carried her first love in her heart for 15 years. She was convinced she'd never stop loving him with that same intensity. Then one day, she realized she hadn't thought about him in weeks. The feeling hadn't disappeared. It had transformed into something gentler, less urgent. When you truly understand that these emotions will evolve naturally, their grip loosens automatically. As the ancient verse says, nothing stays the same. Only the way moves forward, not just a saying, a truth of existence. This final truth changes everything. Some people aren't in your heart because something's wrong. They're there because something's very, very right. From a Daoist perspective, certain souls cross our path as cosmic alignments, beings meant to guide our energy toward transformation. When someone refuses to leave your emotions despite time and distance, they might represent an incomplete cosmic thread. This goes beyond psychology. beyond emotional patterns, into the realm of destiny. What if this person's presence isn't a burden, but a blessing? What if their role in your journey is actually vital to your spiritual development? Daoist texts suggest our most impactful connections serve as mirrors for the soul. The person stirring your emotions might be the exact catalyst needed for your next phase of growth. Instead of asking, "Why do I still feel them?" try asking, "What is this feeling trying to reveal?" This shift transforms the connection from disturbance to portal, from problem to possibility. Maybe they remain in your heart not because something's broken, but because something sacred is still unfolding. Now what? How do you restore balance from these persistent emotions? First, gentle observation. When feelings for this person arise, don't fight them. Don't judge yourself. Simply observe with soft awareness, like sunlight warming stone. Notice the emotion without getting lost in its story. What you resist persists. What you greet with openness naturally shifts. Second, compassionate inquiry. Ask yourself, what lesson keeps this person in my heart? Approach this question with patience, not frustration. Clarity emerges from quiet understanding, not struggle. When you find the underlying cause, don't rush to fix it. Simply recognize it with kindness. Awareness alone begins healing. Third, flow, don't force. The Daoist way isn't about forcing release. It's about allowing natural unfolding, like flowers opening in their own time. Don't struggle to forget this person. Accept their presence in your emotions while loosening the meaning you've attached to it. Hold the emotion like water, present but flowing freely. Fourth, use the trigger as a teacher. When feelings for this person return, use them as signals to return to center. Instead of resisting the emotion, let it remind you to breathe deeply. Feel your body. Come back to the present moment. Each time they surface in your thoughts, take a slow breath. Feel the ground beneath you. Let the moment steady you. Over time, the person who once created chaos becomes a gateway to calm. Fifth, heart-opening practice. Daoist tradition offers powerful medicine for emotional entanglement through heart meditation. Send warm light and gratitude to yourself, to the person lingering in your heart, and to all beings. This transforms the emotional current from longing or pain to peaceful connection. Start with yourself. May my heart be open. May I find harmony. Then extend to them. May their path be clear. May their journey be light. There's a gentle Daoist parable that captures this entire journey perfectly. Your heart is like a stream. This person is like a leaf floating on its surface. At first, the leaf catches your attention. You want to hold it, examine it, keep it forever. But if you let the stream flow naturally, one of two things happens. Either the leaf sinks and blends peacefully into the water, or it drifts away, carried by the current. By allowing your emotions to flow around these feelings without forcing anything, they either integrate peacefully or gently fade from focus. The key isn't controlling the process. It's trusting your heart's natural rhythm. As Lao Tzu taught, nothing should be held tightly as mine, including the emotions we carry for others. When someone lingers, Daoist wisdom teaches us to shift how we relate to the feeling, rather than fight the feeling itself. Your heart is like an open forest. This person is merely a bird that visits. Through mindful presence, what was once confusion becomes your pathway to inner peace. Let me tell you about David. He carried his father's disappointment for 30 years. Every major decision, every achievement, every failure. His father's voice was there, judging, criticizing. never satisfied. His father had been dead for 10 years. David tried everything: therapy, meditation, anger work. The voice remained. Then he discovered these Daoist principles. Instead of fighting his father's presence in his mind, he got curious about it. What was the unfinished business? What was this connection trying to teach him? He realized his father's criticism had become his own inner critic. The voice wasn't really his father anymore. It was David, continuing patterns he'd learned as a child. The emotional debt wasn't about his father at all. It was about David owing himself the approval he'd never received. Once he understood this, something shifted. His father's voice didn't disappear, but it transformed, became quieter, less urgent, sometimes even helpful, filtered through David's own wisdom rather than childhood wounds. The leaf had found its place in the stream. As you walk this path, remember, transformation isn't about perfection. It's about returning to your natural state of balance. Some days the old patterns will resurface. The person will feel heavy in your chest again. The emotions will seem just as intense as before. This is normal. This is part of the way. When it happens, don't judge yourself for going backward. You're not going backward. You're spiraling upward. Each time you practice these principles, you integrate them more deeply. The goal isn't to never think of this person again. The goal is to think of them with peace instead of turmoil, to carry them lightly instead of heavily, to let their memory be a blessing instead of a burden. Your heart has infinite capacity for love, connection, and memory. You don't need to empty it. You need to organize it. Let each person find their proper place in the vast landscape of your inner world. Some people are meant to be close. Others are meant to be distant. Some visit frequently. Others rarely. All of them are teachers. All of them are mirrors. All of them are part of your journey toward becoming who you're meant to be. The ancient Daoists knew something we've forgotten in our rush to get over people and move on from connections that shaped us. Sometimes the most transformative relationships are the ones that never end. They just change form. Sometimes the people who won't leave your heart are the very ones meant to guide you home to yourself. Trust the process. Trust your heart. Trust the way that moves through all things, including the mysterious connections between souls. In the end, the question isn't, how do I get them out of my heart? The question is, how do I honor what they've given me while living fully in my own life? When you find that balance, you discover something beautiful. Love doesn't have to hurt. Connection doesn't have to create suffering. And carrying someone in your heart doesn't have to weigh you down. It can lift you up instead. When you begin applying these Daoist principles, something unexpected happens. The change doesn't stay contained within you. It ripples outward. Your relationships shift. Not just with the person who's been occupying your heart, but with everyone. Think about it. When you're no longer emotionally hijacked by old connections, you show up differently, more present, more centered. People notice this energy. Rachel discovered this after working with her persistent feelings about her college roommate, Amy. For years, thoughts of Amy would trigger anxiety about being abandoned, left behind, not being enough. Every friendship Rachel entered carried this shadow. But as Rachel learned to witness these emotions without drowning in them, something beautiful happened. She stopped expecting her current friends to fill the Amy-shaped hole in her heart. She stopped clinging so tightly to new connections out of fear they'd leave too. Her friendships deepened naturally. When you're not desperately grabbing for love, love has space to flow toward you. This is the paradox of emotional freedom. The less you need specific outcomes from people, the more genuine connection becomes possible. Here's something most people don't realize. These persistent emotional connections often carry patterns that go way back, generations back. Your great-grandmother, who never got closure with her sister. Your grandfather, who carried guilt about the war. These unresolved energies get passed down through family lines like invisible inheritance. Sometimes the person who won't leave your heart isn't just about you and them. They're triggering ancestral wounds that are ready to heal. Marcus, the man with the teacher he never thanked. Turns out his father also had a mentor he never acknowledged. His grandfather too. 3 generations of men carrying the same energetic debt. When Marcus finally wrote that letter to Mr. Rodriguez, 20 years late but perfectly timed, he didn't just heal his own pattern. He broke a generational cycle. This is advanced Daoist understanding. Individual healing contributes to collective healing. Your personal transformation affects the entire web of relationships you're connected to. Let's be real for a minute. Sometimes people use spiritual concepts to avoid doing the actual work. Oh, I'm just flowing with the Tao, while refusing to have necessary conversations. I'm practicing non-attachment, while avoiding genuine intimacy. Everything happens for a reason, while bypassing responsibility for their choices. True Taoist practice isn't about floating above human experience. It's about moving through it with wisdom and grace. If someone's in your heart because you hurt them and never made amends, don't just meditate on flow and impermanence. Make the damn phone call. Write the letter. Do the repair work that's needed. If they're there because you've been avoiding your own growth, don't just visualize sending them light. Actually grow. Change the patterns that created the stagnation in the first place. Spirituality without accountability becomes another form of hiding. This might sound contradictory, but sometimes the Taoist path involves holding someone closer, not pushing them away. What if the person haunting your heart is actually meant to stay there? What if your attempts to release them are actually fighting against the natural flow? Consider this. Maybe some connections are meant to be lifelong, even if they change form. Maybe some people become permanent residents in your heart's landscape, and that's not a problem to solve, but a gift to accept. The key is learning the difference between healthy holding and unhealthy clinging. Healthy holding feels spacious, like having a beautiful painting on your wall. You can appreciate it without needing to possess it completely. Unhealthy clinging feels tight, desperate, like trying to squeeze water in your fist. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is admit, you live in my heart permanently, and I'm okay with that. Healing isn't linear. It has seasons, just like nature. Spring. New awareness dawns. You realize there are patterns to address. Energy feels fresh, hopeful. You're motivated to change. Summer. You're actively working with the emotions, practicing the techniques, seeing progress. Everything feels possible. Fall. The work gets harder. Old patterns resurface stronger than before. This is your psyche's last attempt to maintain the familiar. Many people quit here. Winter. Things feel dormant, quiet. You might think nothing's changing, but underground, deep transformation is happening. Seeds of new understanding are taking root. Then spring returns. But you're different now. The same situations that once triggered you feel manageable. The person who used to hijack your emotions still visits your heart, but gently now. Expect these seasons. Honor them. Don't judge yourself for having a winter period where progress feels stalled. The trees don't struggle to bloom in December. They rest, conserve energy, and trust in the returning light. Here's how this actually works in real life, day by day. Morning check-in. Before getting out of bed, place your hand on your heart. Ask, What am I carrying today that isn't mine to carry? Sometimes you'll get a clear answer. Sometimes just silence. Both are valuable. Midday. Reset. When you notice that person entering your thoughts, don't push the thought away. Instead, breathe into your heart space and say, "Thank you for the message. I receive it with peace." Then return attention to whatever you are doing. Evening. Release. Before sleep, visualize any emotional energy that doesn't serve you flowing out of your body like water. You're not trying to forget anyone or push away love. You're just clearing what's ready to be cleared. Weekly inventory. Once a week, journal about your emotional landscape. How did interactions with others feel? What triggered you? What flowed smoothly? Look for patterns without judgment. Monthly ritual. Create a small ceremony for appreciating all the people who've shaped you, including the one who won't leave your heart. Light a candle. Speak gratitude. Honor the connection without needing it to be different than it is. This isn't about perfection. It's about gentle, consistent practice that honors both your growth and your human need for connection. After years of practice, something profound emerges. You start to see that every person who's ever stirred your heart deeply was actually a messenger. The one who broke your trust, taught you discernment, the one who abandoned you, showed you your own resilience, the one who never saw your worth, guided you to see it yourself, the one who loved you perfectly, revealed your capacity for joy. From this perspective, having someone permanently in your heart isn't a problem. It's recognition of a profound teacher. This doesn't mean staying in harmful relationships or accepting poor treatment. It means understanding that even painful connections can serve your evolution. The Daoists call this finding the pearl in the wound. Every heartbreak, every longing, every persistent connection carries medicine for your soul. Eventually, if you do this work consistently, something beautiful happens. People start coming to you with their own persistent emotional connections. They see something different in how you carry yourself, a peace around topics that would normally create drama, a centeredness that doesn't get shaken by relationship turbulence. This is when you realize the deepest purpose of your own emotional journey. It wasn't just about finding peace with that one person who wouldn't leave your heart. It was about becoming someone who could guide others through their own emotional labyrinths. Your pain becomes your medicine. Your healing becomes your teaching. Your transformation becomes a gift to the world. This is the ultimate flowering of Daoist practice, when personal liberation contributes to collective freedom. But here's the truth no one talks about. This work never really ends. New people will enter your heart and refuse to leave. New patterns will emerge. Deeper layers will reveal themselves. This isn't failure. This is life. The goal isn't to reach some final state where no one ever affects you emotionally again. The goal is to dance more gracefully with whatever arises, to meet each persistent connection with curiosity instead of resistance, to honor each emotional visitor without being enslaved by them, to love fully while maintaining your center. This is the art of being human while walking the way. In the end, what we're really talking about is treating your heart as sacred space, not a dumping ground for unprocessed emotions, not a prison for old grievances, not a museum of past relationships, but a temple, a place where every visitor is received with respect, offered what they need, and blessed on their way. Some visitors stay longer than others. Some return repeatedly. Some leave gifts. Some take things with them. All of this is natural. All of this is holy. The way always leads us home. Sometimes the longest journeys happen within the chambers of our own hearts, guided by the echoes of those who touched us most deeply. Every person who refuses to leave your heart is actually a doorway. Step through with courage, and you'll find not just peace with them, but peace with yourself. That's the real gift. That's the real teaching. That's the real way. May you find peace with all who visit your heart, knowing each carries a message when seen through the eyes of the way. And may you discover that the heart big enough to hold persistent love is also big enough to hold infinite freedom. As the stars align, what dreams will you dare to chase? Share below, and if you haven't already, subscribe to join our community of seekers exploring their best selves. Let's do this together. Thanks for watching. Click here to check out another video.